These two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. How the fuck's that even happen? They're two grown men on a mission now, so buckle up and just strap in.
Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody.
These two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. It's America's barley basket.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of America's Barley Basket. My name is Nathan Fulsabuck, and with me is my dear friend Marlin Wells. Hello, Marlin.
Hello, Nathan. How are you?
Oh, just trying to keep it cool in the time of Corona.
Yeah, everybody's got that Rona.
Yeah.
I have managed to avoid.
Hey, good for you.
I hope everyone else has as well.
Keep your head on a swivel. You never know. Can come from any angle.
Got to be careful where you're breathing.
A lot of tuck and roll. That's what I do.
You're just physically avoiding people. A lot of spin moves.
Yeah, a lot
of
of
spin moves and stiff arms.
I use a lot of the same strategy I use in Star Fox on the N64.
Just barrel roll.
A lot of barrel rolls and the big full flip too. Run up a lot of curved walls and just land right back at my feet, Sonic the Hedgehog style. Which is actually backtracking. It's just like
right, yeah, you're losing ground.
But style points. Again, keeping it cool in Corona.
I had to go to the grocery store, showcase some parkour moves, try to avoid the Rona.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on today's episode, we will be going through episodes 6 through 10 of season 1.
Which I think, just preliminarily, I would say a better batch than last time around.
Yep. I mean, wouldn't say good, if I'm being honest, but it's getting better.
Yeah, we're still in the early bits, so we're not into the meat, and we know that.
We eyes wide open.
Yeah. So, but we're I feel like we're establishing some more things and getting better every time.
I agree.
We are also almost all the way through season 1. I don't know if you looked ahead, but there's only 13 episodes in season 1.
I was just informed this late last night. Is it how many episodes was it?
13 in season 1. So
look at this.
The next episode of America's Barley Basket will be a bit of 1 and a bit of 2.
Yeah, we'll be in the 90s. We'll be kissing 89 goodbye.
Yeah, a farewell to the 80s. We'll remove our leg warmers.
Says you. I have poor circulation.
They're not so much warmers as they are movers.
They are prescribed to me.
I'm not shooting a workout video. I need these to keep my feet.
So I can feel my toes.
You trying to keep your feet warm? No, I'm trying to keep my feet.
Keep me period. Change the subject or I'll get real sad.
All right, we'll change the subject. How about episode number 6, Moaning Lisa, which I think is not a good title.
Yeah.
I see what you're going for, but it's not a good title.
Problematic.
Yep, I'm not into it. I am, however, into this episode. Pretty into this one. I don't know about you. I think I mentioned at the end of last week's episode that we had gotten establishment episodes on Homer and Bart, and that I suspected we would have a Lisa one coming, and here we are.
Here it is.
We got Lisa being depressed, which is weird. I don't know. I don't like a depressed cartoon character.
Yeah, but hey, they're going for realism.
Yeah, it's real. I can't say that I was ever a depressed second grader, but I probably was not as smart as Lisa Simpson is. Yeah. So I have here a note that the Simpsons apparently have a rumpus room, and I don't know what that is.
I remember, I'm slightly older vintage than Marlin is, and I do remember as a child seeing I don't know if I've ever heard it in real life, but I remember television shows referencing rumpus rooms. I'm guessing...
To me, I think that's the room where the foosball table is.
Yeah. I would say the hierarchy of fancy furniture is rumpus room's at the bottom. That's the stuff someone pissed on.
Okay.
That's a baby got sick on it. So send it to the rumpus room, then den, and then living room.
Okay.
I would say.
People have too many rooms. I just know the living room.
Yep, exactly.
I didn't have a den or a rumpus room or a sitting room. I didn't have it.
There were no rompus rooms in Southbrook Trailer Park, let me tell you.
Yeah, and as I mentioned last week, people in southwestern North Dakota don't believe in recreation, so no room for a rompus room. They got no use for it.
Yeah, why have a room for rompus when you're just going to sit outside and drink Busch Light and stare off into the distance until the sun sets?
We got barbed wire to stretch, and the tumbleweed harvest is coming in. There's no time for horseplay, fellas.
And loved ones to avoid eye contact with.
Right. I have things to suppress. I don't have time to play bumper pool. I guess by today's standards, a rompus room would just be a man cave, right? Like beer signs and a big
family
TV.
family friendly rompus or for man cave. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it goes to show the strength of 80s union work that Homer Simpson, only income in the family, has such a baller ass house.
Yeah, and it's probably by 89 standards, probably a better than average house, right?
Oh my goodness, I would say, yeah.
Like 2 floors, all the kids have their own room. Even Maggie apparently has their own room because you don't see her sleeping in the Simpsons' bedroom.
Yeah.
Or either of the kids' bedroom, as far as I know. So, I mean,
think the garage is wide enough to park 2 cars.
Yeah, and the Simpsons' bedroom, I did notice, I don't know when in this batch of episodes, but they have a master bath attached to the bedroom, so it's at
Very
least
good point.
It is at least a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house with a rompus room. So they got to be doing well.
God bless the power plant.
Lisa's sad, and then they go to what I think is maybe the most accurate representation of elementary band performance that I've ever heard. That is an atonal fucking mess that was painful to listen to. There was a good moment here with Maggie where Bart and Lisa are like doing the thing that you do with a dog where it's like, come to me, no, come to me, come to me, come to me. And it turns out Maggie just goes to the television as being the one that she loves the most.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciated. I thought that was pretty funny.
Biting cultural critique from Matt Groening.
Right. He was letting you know, hey, even our TV babies are being raised by the television.
Open your eyes, sheeple.
They're making toys of all of us.
One side plot of this episode is Bart plays some kind of video game console, and Homer and him are trying to bond over it. But it's a boxing game in which Bart continuously kicks the shit out of Homer. And Homer tries to get revenge and get better at the game. So he goes to an arcade and does whatever he can to make himself better at this boxing game, which you can tell how old this show is because that shit looked like pre-NES levels of graphics.
Yep.
That was like a Commodore 64 level, one button on the controller.
One button on a joystick. Yep.
Yeah.
It's clearly an Atari, I think. But clearly aping from like Punch Out
totally
visuals. I thought it was I love seeing fake video games in television shows or movies. And as far as that goes, this is a pretty good one.
It was like Punch Out, but with like Mortal Kombat style fatalities at the end.
Right. It was like Punch Out, but with way more animation than they would have ever paid for an NES cartridge.
Perhaps this is the first example of The Simpsons predicting the future, which I hear is a thing.
Oh, could be. Yeah. God, we got to keep our eyes out for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the B story, of those two having a rivalry on this video game boxing. The A story continuing to follow Lisa as she continues to be sad, and she gets we get a flashback from Marge to a conversation she had with her mother, and I put this in quotes here because I thought the line was so rough. It's Marge's mother telling young Marge, quote, "People know how good a mommy you have by the size of your smile." And I thought that was incredibly dark. Like, no, you need to go out there and smile or people will think I'm a bad mom.
Yeah.
Like, geez, okay. Lisa is a big saxophone player and just wants to pursue that, and Homer kind of steps on it because he doesn't like the noise in the house, and then she just wanders off into the night hearing saxophone being played somewhere in Springfield and comes across a character that I knew existed and didn't know we would see this early, Mr. Bleeding Gums Murphy.
Yeah. Hope we get more Bleeding Gums down the road.
Yeah, I liked him quite a bit.
Nice touch to the episode, yeah.
He teaches, well, maybe not teaches. Seems like she already knew it, but he jams on the sax with Lisa out on the bridge. And then there's a line from Marge because she comes to get her daughter away from this man, this strange man on a bridge in the city. And right as she goes to drive away, she tells Bleeding Gums Murphy, "Nothing personal, I just fear the unfamiliar."
Another line right before that. I had both of those lines as the best episodes. The other one, "Lisa, get away from that jazz man." just like the tone she was like, she has hollered that multiple times at her children. One, it wasn't even really a plot point. I don't even know when it happened in the episode, but I think for the second time already, we've seen Bart prank call Moe's Tavern.
Yeah, we see another one of those here.
And I think the highlight of it is Moe's reaction, like just how vile and angry. Like he's threatening children with like dismemberment.
He's always so clueless at the beginning when he starts like calling out the name to the bar, and then like immediately flips to like, oh, Mo has killed and will kill again. Exactly, for sure.
Yeah. He's totally choked out a passed out homeless guy after last call, you know.
Just to make him feel again. That's how he keeps showing up to that job.
Yeah. It's probably about 2/3 of the way through the episode, too. We get to see Homer, who can't figure out how to beat Bart at this game, goes to that arcade, which I loved.
Yeah.
Because there's nice little flourishes. I noticed some of the arcade games had interesting names. Like one of them was Robert Goulet Destroyer. Beloved Las Vegas crooner Robert Goulet Destroyer.
I did not catch any of the names, but I'm glad you did because that's fantastic.
And beside it, Escape from Grandma's House. And one thing I like too, when he finds the kid that's like the ringer at that boxing game that he wants to get better at, it's like, you know, the kid's good at video games because he's wearing fucking shades.
Yep.
It's such a late 80s thing. Like, oh man,
that's the cool kid in the arcade.
Yeah. He can't see shit. Ever been in a well-lit arcade? I haven't.
Nope, there's no such thing as a well-lit arcade.
It's like lit like a haunted house. He's in there with shades, playing by feel, apparently.
It's a real pinball wizard situation. Yeah. Who teaches Homer a few moves, and then Homer goes to employ them against Bart, and is winning, is whooping the shit out of Bart back at home. and then Marge, who has had her talk with Lisa about, like, you know, just you do you and don't worry about being popular. After, by the way, giving her exactly the opposite advice, but then deciding that was a bad idea.
I do like, too, like that second flashback to Marge, remember being a kid, is you can tell that, you know, everyone always wonders where Springfield is. You know it's in the Midwest because that kind of parenting is the most Midwest thing you can teach your kid. Just shut up, don't bother anybody. Just smile and nod politely, you know, just don't cry, just smile. Then after it's over, just go home and eat hot dish in silence. Just let it build.
Yep. Stuff it down and don't worry about it. Marge comes in to announce to the family that, like, hey, Lisa is cool now, and we're gonna go do a thing as a family, and unplugs the video game console in the meantime. Yeah.
And Homer practicing that game, really, like, without Bart being there, just so he could beat Bart. I had a flashback to my childhood because my dad, when we got the Nintendo, sure wasn't a fan of it. He did not think video games were a good way for young boys to spend their free time.
Oh,
I'm sure you can relate.
Oh, yeah.
That's something, yeah. But we find out later that my dad was living a lie and he was coming home on his lunch breaks to play Mario Brothers. We found out because he beat it before we did.
Holy shit, that's funny.
So for a hot minute, we were like kind of a healthy family. Like me and my brother would play video games with my dad. This lasts all of a month, but when you're 8, that seems like a long amount of time. And to the point where he bought an aftermarket controller with full auto on it, which when you have tiny 8-year-old fingers, you're trying to beat Contra without knowing the cheat code.
Right.
Fully auto is a godsend. So, and then one evening, my dad rented Gunsmoke,
That's a great game.
Yeah, it is. Totally kind of like an above camera view, shoot 'em up game, you know?
Yeah.
And we're having fun. And he's got to a level that we hadn't got to yet. So it's all that tense excitement. Like, oh man, is he going to get to the next level? What's going to happen? And in the peak part of the level, he gets killed right at the end. And in anger, he takes that controller and smashes it against my dresser. Enough for parts fly everywhere. And then once we're stunned silent. And then I feel like I was like, yeah, I'll get you a new controller. We're looking at about 31 years now. I haven't seen that controller, Marlin.
Still waiting on you, Dad.
Still no fully auto NES controller. But I'm not bitter.
Not at all. No, of course not. I played that game to death. I adored that game. And it wasn't until later in life I got to looking back at it and being like, what? That wasn't... Like, if you look at the title of Gunsmoke, it is G period, U period, N period, smoke, so they could avoid copyright and trademark infringements.
I kind of wondered about that, yeah.
And there's no names. You don't play as Matt Dillon, you know. Also, second week in a row we bring up Gunsmoke on this show.
That's a theme.
I think maybe the next episode or the next podcast we do is just a Gunsmoke retrospective.
Yeah. My thoughts on Festus. 45-minute rumination on that. Fun fact, in the late 70s, the Bottineau County Fair, where I grew up, paid Festus to be the headlining entertainment.
To do what?
I think he played a banjo and a mouth harp and fell down a bunch or whatever. Told some anecdotes.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want him as a commencement speaker.
Teeth falling out of his head the whole time.
I want Festus to really tell me how to live my life. That's what I want. Put your mouth harp down. I need you to lay some knowledge on me.
Tell these graduates what life's going to be like. Well, you meet James Arness in the Army and you never let go.
All right, listen, kids.
I'd have to get this character to talk like Festus. Yeah, he's got a tough voice to pull off.
Yeah, it's
a lot of whistling in his teeth through the air.
Yep, gap tooth whistle. Yeah, I can't do it for sure.
Once we truly commit to this podcast and begin method podcasting, we'll both perfect our Festuses.
No, you called me Festus. I'm not. We get real Daniel Day-Lewis about it.
Here's your Grand Slam platter, Mr. Wells. God damn it, for the last time.
First off, you know good and goddamn well I asked for links and not patties. Take this shit back. Secondly, it is Festus.
Why do you think I'm wearing this silly hat?
Oh, Christ. Okay, so this podcast is still about The Simpsons somehow. The last note I have for this episode is at the end of the show, the Simpsons family goes to the Jazz Hole, pretty good name for a jazz club.
Yep.
And they take in Bleeding Gums Murphy putting on a show. And I just have a note in all caps that says, is this a fucking all-ages jazz cabaret?
Yeah, no kidding. They weren't keen on carding in 1989 in Springfield.
And if it is all ages, who decided that's a good business plan?
Yeah, no kidding.
You know what people want in a smoky jazz bar? Some kids at the table next to them.
And I don't remember, but I believe Maggie was there.
Yes, absolutely was.
An 18-monther on a bunch of people chain smoking. Again, different time.
Yeah,
different
when I'm
time.
5 old fashions in, trying to just listen to somebody run some brushes across the cymbals, I don't want a kid next to me.
And with all the episodes so far, it is still wholesome as fuck.
Yeah.
Marge tells Lisa to be herself, and Lisa is herself because Marge is a great mom and Lisa's a good kid. So ends nicely. Nice little bow on the episode.
Yeah, I continue to not see any of the kerfuffle around The Simpsons. So
just baffling that this show was getting people worked up. You know, like in 1980, like Pat Robertson was just like harumphing his ass off while this was on TV. It just seems so crazy. Like, just cannot believe that this filth is broadcast. Well, that sounds like that was episode 6. Onward to episode 7.
Yeah, why don't you take it? Take the horns here. The
Episode
horns,
7.
that's not a thing. The reins, that's a thing.
We'll take them both.
Different part of the tack.
We're blazing new trail tack. I like that proper word use there.
Proper equestrian terminology is very important to us.
Yeah, exactly. You're very pedantic about your tack.
Yep.
So episode 7 is the call of the Simpsons. In this episode, Homer becomes envious of Flanders' new RV, and he goes to Bob's RV Roundup to buy his own RV. That's pretty much the first half.
Very first note, in all caps, holy shit, this RV salesman.
Oh my God. I will say right now, the RV sales part of it, the funniest thing we've seen so far, in my opinion.
I was legitimately laughing at the RV salesman.
That RV salesman's like, there's like the things he says under his breath when he reveals the most expensive, like the colossal behemoth RV. When he, like under his breath, he's like, "Man built this. It's a vehicle." And then, or he's trying to convince Homer that he like has what it takes to own a high-end RV. He's like, "You look like a god, sorta," and he says it with complete honesty in his voice. Like he's so good at conning people out of money in his RV sales.
Yeah, this dude is fantastic. I might put him in the ultimate pantheon of the shady used car salesman type.
Oh my God, yeah.
He's absolutely killing it. I don't know who voiced him. I don't know who wrote this episode, but man, whoever did.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah. It was almost like a bummer when that was over, and then we go back to like more season 1 level of comedy. It's like, okay, yeah.
I thought the same thing. I thought that after the RV salesman bit that this episode kind of fell apart and I didn't really care for it.
Yeah.
Exactly. As a whole.
I would agree with that.
A lot of physical gags and shenanigans. You know, not a lot of depth to this one. Still amusing, but not outstanding by any means.
Yeah. And then so after that, the RVC, well, they find out that Homer's credit is so pitiful that he can only afford a very, very used RV. Mm-hmm. And they take it out on the road, and Homer does a bunch of Homer stuff and gets him lost hopelessly in the woods. And again, Homer doing Homer stuff, he convinces Marge and Lisa that him and Bart will save the day. And they immediately get lost and fall into a waterfall, which they fall down and for some reason are naked when they get out of it.
Yep, all their clothes come off as soon as
all the clothes, socks, underwear, everything.
I can't swim, so I don't spend a lot of time in the water. But I have never gone into water and come out nude.
Yeah,
accidentally. I have probably done that on purpose, but never accidentally.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never fallen into a whitewater rapid, but I think, you'd have a sock on at least,
Yeah.
you'd save something. You'd have a watch,
Right.
This doesn't make any sense. Was there some kind of like sirens in the water that stripped him down? Like this can't be just purely natural. So some kind of mysticism afoot here to strip people nude when they fall into a body of water.
Yeah, and they celebrate it. They're like, we neither of us have any clothes on.
Look at this.
That's pretty rad, huh? And it's like, what kind of, okay, all right.
Yeah. And I'm going to agree with you. I just thought the rest of this episode was a slog. Like Homer gets stung by some bees when he tries to eat honey, and he falls in some mud, and people take pictures of him thinking he's some kind of like Bigfoot type creature, and causes a media uproar. Mm-hmm. And the whole time I'm like, man, I wish they'd bring back the RV dude. Right.
Yeah, I really missed the first 5 minutes of this episode for the rest of the episode.
Exactly.
There's a B plot here of Maggie just gets loose and goes on her own. So you have Marge and Lisa sitting around waiting for Homer and Bart to come back, and Lisa goes Maggie goes off and does her own thing and is adopted by bears, which is it's silly, but I at least enjoyed the Maggie arc of this. Mm-hmm. She, especially when she is first approached by the bear, and she just puts a spare pacifier in the bear's mouth.
Yeah,
and the
I like
bear
that she has.
makes Maggie sounds the rest of the episode.
I like that Maggie has first off, pockets in her onesie.
Yep.
And carries a spare binky with her.
Yep, just in case.
Yeah, you never know. I never go camping without at least 2 binkies on me.
I've always said that about you. Oh, yeah. old 2 binky Befulsebach out here again.
Yes. All of his training in the wild.
Okay. I don't like babies or infants or toddlers or children in general, really. But babies in particular, I think pacifiers are the most disgusting thing in the world. Because
no kidding.
I spent all those years growing up and having friends with younger siblings and seeing little kids in church, and they are constantly just dropping the pacifier on the ground, and the parent is just picking it up and shoving it right back in their face.
At best, a cursory wipe on a probably already dirty pant leg.
Right.
That's at the very most.
Like maybe I just spent time around people who shouldn't be trusted with a pacifier.
Yeah.
But man, have I always thought pacifiers were gross.
Falls in an anthill, maybe a quick shake right in the kid's mouth.
Yep, just pop right back in.
And for the rest of this episode, the media uproar about Homer being Bigfoot. It's proven that he's not Bigfoot. It's just kind of a boring storyline. And then it's, again, wholesome ending. They're one big happy family again. And yeah, they go back to Springfield.
Yeah, not a lot going on here. I do have one note way at the end when there's a team of scientists holding a press conference telling people this isn't Bigfoot. Maybe it's like it's not smart enough to be a human, but it's smarter than a beast. And one of the scientists, I'm pretty sure, is the family therapist from the last batch of episodes we watched.
I believe so.
And it's like, I don't know why he's here, but okay.
I think episode 8 was at least a little bit of a turnaround.
Which is the Telltale Head, probably my favorite of this batch.
Yeah.
I'm not apologizing for it, but I like to think that I am better than laughing real hard at a dick joke. Mm-hmm. But the very first line out of this episode made me almost spit coffee when I was watching it yesterday. And
first thing I commented on.
It's just Bart and Homer walking down the sidewalk carrying this statue's head, and Homer says, quote, "When I was your age, I pulled a few boners."
Yeah.
And I hate how hard I laughed at that.
Yeah. I just have that quote, ... Come on, man. That was unacceptable in 1989.
Right. Like, come on. When I was your age, I pulled a few boners. I nearly snorted and then hated myself. Like, come on, Marlin, you're more refined than that.
I bet there were some high fives in the writer's room after they got that past the censors.
Oh, for sure. They're like, no, boners means like knucklehead moves. No, it fucking doesn't.
Yeah, 1954. This isn't an episode of My Three Sons.
Even in 89, we're talking about erections. Come on.
Yeah.
But they got it past them.
At the same time, a sitcom called Growing Pains. That was what Kirk Cameron's his best friend was named Boner.
Okay.
And I don't. Maybe, so it was simpler times. Maybe we're wrong, Marlin. Maybe we're jaded 21st century minds can't handle the wholesomeness of 1989 broadcast sitcoms.
Maybe we're the assholes. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Oh, man.
Real possibility.
I don't want to get this introspective. I promised myself I wouldn't cry till at least episode 5. Gonna hold it together till then. For those scoring at home, I think this is the second episode of this show that we've watched so far that I'm pretty sure I've seen.
Okay.
So, for you trivia buffs out there.
There's an angry mob chasing them as they are carrying the head of the statue.
Yeah.
And we get a first appearance of Krusty the Clown, which I appreciated. Indeed. He's in the mob. Everyone's united against Homer and Bart at this point, and you don't know why. and it eventually turns into a Bart retelling the whole story is the majority of the episode.
Exactly.
One note in the mob, Barney's hair is finally right, thank God.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness,
His hair is not the same color as his skin anymore, which was creepy.
I think we've finally moved past that level. At least I'm hoping we have.
Yeah, here's hoping, because we just saw him with his yellow hair in the previous episode when, or 2 episodes before this, when Bart prank calls Mose.
Yep.
But finally, Barney is looking the way I know Barney to look.
I think they finally settled on Moe's hair too, because it was black in a couple of those early episodes.
Right?
That we got
Yeah. He's kind of a flat gray
salt
now.
And pepper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, getting back to the timing of the era that this episode was shot in. Love the fact when they do that scan across the dash of Homer's car. The old in-dash cigarette lighter.
Yeah.
Those were the days. Kind of just
still there.
Disappeared without us knowing it, I mean, I don't think it has the cigarette logo on it anymore like it used to,
Yeah, now it's a power outlet, quote unquote.
Yeah,
it's no longer a cigarette lighter.
Like, if you buy a brand new car, does it come with the push-in part that lights the cigarette for you? Probably not. I bet it's just has a cap that slides over it. So.
Right. Like my car is a 2016 and it has that outlet with a lid over it that says power outlet, and you can buy the lighter to put in there, but it certainly doesn't come with it.
Yeah. How things have changed. Every pickup truck you grew up with as well, all had that little sliding, folding mirror on the driver's door by the glass. That was basically just for ashing out. If that was just a mobile ashtray.
The ash window, yep.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. You don't have to roll down the whole window. It's just the triangle window pane in front of the actual window. Times have changed. We've been left behind, Nathan.
Yeah, we have, yes.
There's a pretty good bit here where the family's going to church and they don't want to. Nobody but Marge wants to. And Homer is listening to the football game on a cassette player or on a Walkman. So he's listening to the radio with earbuds in, and they run the audio of the play-by-play, and it's matching what the preacher is doing.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was a good bit. I thought that was pretty amusing.
I thought there was another nice church scene where it would cut from the adults in church to the kids in Sunday school. And Sunday school is just those kids just pummeling the poor Sunday school teacher with the most ridiculous religious... one time they cut back, you don't hear the question, but she just lowers her head and says, "The ventriloquist goes to heaven, the dummy does not."
I loved that.
That was one of the better jokes in the episode.
We get our first poo in this episode, which is something new. Bart starts falling in with a bad crowd of teenagers, sneaks into the movies. They steal from the Quickie Mart. He's hanging out with a bad bunch.
Some street toughs.
Yeah, and they're the classic 3 bullies or 3 teenagers that I feel like I picked those out immediately of, okay, I know those guys. I've seen those guys.
Yeah. Overly tall, bad posture.
Yeah. One's got a hat. One's got an emo swoop of a haircut.
Yep. Hell of an emo swoop. Again.
Yeah.
Predicting the future.
It's down to his chin. It's a hell of a swoop.
And if I remember correctly, kind of to impress these kids, because they are very juvenile, delinquentish, Bart thinks that the way to impress them would be to steal the head off of the statue of a famed Springfield pioneer, Jebediah Simpson. Or Jebediah Springfield, pardon me.
Jebediah Springfield, the founder of the town, has a giant statue in the center of town, and he decides that those kids would be real impressed and accept him as being cool if he took the head off that statue.
Exactly. Sneaks out late at night on a skateboard, as always. And I got a hot take here for you, Marlin.
Okay.
Did Bart Simpson jumpstart the skateboard craze of the 90s, which led into the X Games, which led into everything we know of today? Would there be snowboarding without Bart Simpson?
Yeah.
Think about it.
I don't know enough about, the late 80s, because, Marty McFly rides a skateboard.
That's true. God damn it.
85. But, in between Marty McFly and Bart Simpson, what was the state of skateboarding? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I thought I was going to blow minds. I thought this was going to make this go viral. Holy shit, we never put two and two together.
I mean, if you are to try to think of pop culture icons who ride a skateboard, like Marty McFly and Bart Simpson, probably going to be up there. Like,
oh my goodness,
those might be numbers 1 and 2 on the Family Feud board.
Yep, I would agree.
So I don't think that you're off necessarily. He skateboards into the town center and cuts off the head and is immediately regretful. Like,
very, he's a good boy.
Yeah,
he's a good boy.
And he earlier was talking about, like, no, Jebediah Springfield was really cool and killed a bear and founded the town, and then still goes through with this anyway, and immediately regrets it.
Yeah. And what I love too is the next day he brings the head to school in a backpack as he wants to impress the juvenile delinquents. And when he goes to them in true dipshit juvenile delinquent form, their logic makes no sense.
Right.
They're the biggest piece of shit kids, unless it involves a statue of the town founder. Now they're suddenly patriots.
Yeah. I have it written here, boy, the town takes this hard.
Yeah, no kidding. We were in a recession, so I guess this was the one last thing they could feel pride in, and Bart defaced it.
I guess, like, Springfield needed heroes at this time. Yeah. And they really take it hard. The whole town, not happy about it. Even the bullies, even the delinquents think that whoever did this is not cool. So Bart comes clean to his folks, does not come clean to the delinquents, but comes clean to his folks, tells them what he did. Homer kind of catches the blame out of this because earlier in the episode he did tell him that being popular is the most important thing and you should just do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So, sure, kind of Homer's fault.
Yeah.
And then it catches up to where we started the episode of those two trying to avoid the mob and get the head back to its rightful place. And it caught me again. It caught me a second time because they just reused the animation. And there it is, Homer saying, I pulled a few boners. Yep. And it fucking got me again. And I wasn't happy about it. They really wanted to
drive it home.
Yeah, but they...
Blatant boner pulling.
Fuck, that should have been the name of the podcast. God damn it.
Oh, one thing I like is in the angry mob that's ready to, like, basically, tar and feather Bart and Homer. If you look closely, Bart's grandfather and his aunts are part of the mob.
Yep. Patty and
they
Selma
have looks of rage.
And Grandpa are all in on it. And Bart gives a speech, replaces the head, and everything's fine. So
again, wholesome AF.
Yeah, pretty good episode. I enjoyed this one. Quite a bit,
right.
Actually.
Nice turnaround from episode 7.
Yeah, I thought it looked good with, like, Barney's hair looking the way it's supposed to, and we're introduced to some pretty staple characters like the teenagers and Krusty and the preacher. This felt like a real Simpsons episode in a way that not a lot of these have.
Oh, agree, yeah. And it's kind of like a fun, interesting storyline. Like, some of these early episodes have been kind of like just basic sitcom stuff. Like, it seems like now they're kind of realizing, hey, we're animated. We can do all sorts of wacky stuff,
Right.
Because, like, an episode of Who's the Boss where, like, Judith Light's kid sawed the head off of a statue would have seemed really weird and out of place. But in The Simpsons, it's fine.
In The Simpsons, you can have Bart dressed in full ninja garb.
Yeah, leaving the house.
Skateboard all the way down there and do it. Yeah, this one felt fun in a good way. Maybe my favorite one that we've seen so far. Which
Onward.
Yeah, Onward leads into the next one. Life on the Fast Lane.
There we go. Episode 9, folks. This one kind of starts off with, I think, Homer forgets Marge's birthday. The kids, they burst in with their traditional kids making a terrible breakfast, but it comes from love, so the mom has to choke it down. Homer, realizing that he never got her anything, he goes shopping early in the morning to go buy her a gift. And in true total piece of shit fashion, he buys Marge a bowling ball. And not only does he buy her a bowling ball, he buys her a bowling ball grooved to fit his hand size with his fucking name carved into it.
Which is the worst fucking bonehead husband botches the birthday gift thing, but I love how far they went with this one.
Yeah, my God. Yeah, they're making it hard to side with Homer, to feel sorry for him at all.
Yeah, they're like, if we're going to do this trope of the idiot husband getting a bad birthday gift, we're going to lean so fucking hard into it.
And to show Homer that Marge don't take no sass, she decides out of pure spite to start bowling herself.
Yep. Takes up bowling. Like, you got me a ball, clearly a ball for you that you want. Well, fuck you. I'm going to learn how to bowl.
And Marge sucks, as one can imagine. She bowls like she looks like a kid practicing chest passes in like first grade basketball camp. Just like right into the ground.
Yep.
Elbows out, ball to the chest, expel the ball.
And the ball bouncing all the way down the lane before taking out one pin. I have a quick note, not to backtrack too far, but in the birthday scene where he presents her with the ball, they're at a singing restaurant where all the waiters sing all the time. And they actually sprang for the song Happy Birthday, which you had to pay money for at this point.
Couldn't believe that. I was like, oh, no kidding. I was like, does this predate that? But like, man, that birthday song's got to be 80 years old.
Right, because you always hear like Jolly Good Fellow or some fake birthday song because it wasn't public domain. So you had to pay and to pay a lot to actually use it.
Maybe by this time Fox was like flush with Beverly Hills 90210 money or something.
Yeah, maybe. They blew the last of the It's Gary Shandling's Show budget. They're like, we canceled that, so use the money to get the Simpsons the birthday song.
They made Gary Shandling return his bonus.
We need you to give this back. We're going to use it to have cartoons sing a song.
Yeah, and he said something delightfully droll.
As he does.
That made the three wittiest writers laugh.
As is his way. I love Gary Shandling.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
The other note I have from the birthday party is that Marge is 34, which is younger than I thought.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
I always think of like Homer and Marge as being like early 40s.
Yeah.
But I guess
so here they are.
Like 34 makes sense because you have ostensibly like a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. Like that makes sense. Young couple getting married and having kids. But I had never thought about it. Like, I don't think I had ever thought about putting a number on what their age is.
I'm like the right age. I would have been in like the same graduating class with Bart Simpson. If by canon we assume that that in 1989, if he was 9 or 10, I would have been 9 in 1989.
Okay.
So.
I was 4 in 89.
They would have had to written you in as like an adorable next door neighbor child or something.
Yeah, I'm who's the motion sick kid on the school bus from the last
Wendell.
Wendell. I'm probably Wendell.
And one note that I have that I did not include nearly enough context to, I just have Connie Chung calendar ?
Yes.
So apparently a Connie Chung calendar is mentioned or shown at some time.
That came from Patty and Selma talking about like, oh, he always gets you a shitty gift that is is clearly just for him. And I forget what the other gifts mentioned are, but one of them is that Connie Chung calendar.
Yeah. Nicely done, Simpsons writers.
Yeah, that was a good sharp joke, which I appreciated.
While Marge is bowling terribly, she catches the eye of Jacques, one of my favorite characters so far.
Yep.
A very, very highly sexualized French bowling instructor, which every Midwestern town is full of.
Oh, yeah. You can't throw a rock without hitting some swarthy bowling pervert in any Midwestern bowling alley. I also really liked this character.
Yeah. He lays it on real thick.
Yeah.
And Marge, against her better judgment, accepts it right away platonically. Like it is actual bowling lessons, and she gets better. As the episode progresses, Jacques starts wanting her to meet outside of bowling. They go to a cafe. He explains what brunch is to her.
Yep, a 34-year-old woman didn't know what brunch was, but maybe brunch wasn't a thing in '89.
I don't think it was. I remember hearing it mentioned on TV shows. I don't think it was a part of normal day-to-day life, at least not in Springfield.
It's 2020 and it's still not a normal part of my day, so I get it.
I mean, I wake up at like 11, so I guess my first meal is going to be brunch probably.
Yeah, I suppose. If it's strictly timing based, then yeah.
And I think it reaches a peak. I think doesn't he invites Marge to his apartment, and she knows what happens at Jacques' apartment.
Yeah, she's not
naive to the world, and there she has like a flashback, or not a flashback, like kind of a dream sequence where she pictures how this whole adventure could end. A lot of very Victorian era, very fancy dressing, and a lot of dancing.
Yeah, it's very Gatsby looking.
There you go. More of a Gatsby than Victorian era. And at one time during the dancing, he like dips her, and she looks and she sees all these trophies. It's like, oh, are those your bowling trophies? No, Marge, they're my love-making trophies. It's like, I want to know what kind of maniacs are the judges at a love-making competition that Jacques would win. What was the criteria?
What are you judged on?
Like, he shouldn't be allowed in the room, let alone allowed to compete, and here he is winning the fucking thing. What were the other people like? Oh,
he's just sweating, just throwing the Jock D to somebody and looking over, and the judges are holding cards up.
Yeah.
And the whole time, a 4 out of the Russian judges, no making them happy.
Yeah. The other contestants in a diabetic coma, it looks like. So guess Jacques wins.
Oh fuck! I had never thought of that, but yes, who judges a lovemaking contest?
And this whole time, while Marge is contemplating throwing away her marriage, Homer is at home, and he's just a sad sack.
Yep.
Just a total lump.
He's not dealing with it well, and he doesn't explicitly know that something's going on, but he's onto it.
And Lisa, wise beyond her years, notices it immediately that there is trouble afoot in the Simpson marriage.
Yeah, the kids are in on it, and Homer is fucking near catatonic. I was a little surprised that like Marge is very seriously considering this.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought that was a nice touch. That it was touch and go there for a while.
Yeah, like you as the viewer are definitely led to believe that
this could happen.
There is probably a more than 50% chance that she's headed to Jacques' place.
And another nice touch in the writing is Homer, like in his Homerish ways, tries to like kind of tell her how he feels in the morning by describing how well she makes a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which, you know, not the smoothest of entries, but he tries. He's doing his best.
It's very Homer. Like, that's how he would try to explain it.
And she, like, rebukes him. She won't have none of it. I was like, oh, my God. And Homer just leaves dejected to it, you know, accepting his fate.
Yeah, there are weirdly poignant moments in this episode of a marriage with a divide in it that you do not expect to come from a fucking cartoon.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, Marge gets in the car fully planning on driving to Jacques' Slam Castle or whatever he calls it. And he's preparing his body with essential oils, which I did not need to see.
Yeah, he's really greasing himself up and pep-talking himself in the mirror. I don't know if bowling perv is a real type of person out there, but I'm led to believe that this is precisely what they'd be like.
And I think your typical bowling perv is more like, hey, check out this pencil. It has a picture of a lady's tits on it.
Right.
Not like, hey, I'm going to steal someone's spouse.
That's... A bowling perv, I would think, would just be like, hey, check out these mud flaps. Look at the silhouette. It's like a lady.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm headed home, you know.
Yeah. Leans up against the hand drawing machine too long because it vibrates. Hey, Reggie, cut that out. We got kids here. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you know how I get. I've had a few bushes, and now I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. My bad.
Yeah, not this dude who is just a full-on...
No, he's going to destroy a family.
Just a fucking Pepe Le Pew sex criminal on the bowling lanes.
Yeah. gets her a monogram glove, a bowling glove. Yeah, he's in it to win it.
Yeah.
And Marge is driving to visit Jacques, and she hits a fork in the road, which conveniently enough, one side leads to the power plant Homer works, and the other is again to Jacques' sex dungeon. But
with just a sign in the middle of the fork saying power plant or whatever the name of his apartment complex was.
It's something singles apartment, which I like is a nice touch. He lives in an apartment complex expressly designed for singles.
Yep, this is the whole building. Every unit is just for fucking.
And to end the episode, it's kind of a nice musical montage. You see Homer dejected at work, and then the music starts to climb, and here comes Marge. And she didn't go to Jacques in his room of gross aromas. She went to visit her special husband.
Yep, walking
and they embrace
straight through the power plant. No hard hat. No, there's people in hazmat suits, and she just doesn't give a fuck.
Open-toed shoes, always a no-no in any kind of industrial setting. Yep. She does not care because she's in love, Marlin.
Just OSHA compliance as far as the eye can see. Love slightly outside OSHA's jurisdiction.
Yeah. And everyone applauds, and those two, he picks her up and carries her to his car, and very nice ending. Again, wholesome AF. Yeah,
good episode. I enjoyed this
very
a lot.
Well written. Yeah,
I really enjoyed I loved the character of Jacques. I thought he was very funny, and
I agree.
I really liked the poignancy of like, Jesus Christ, Marge is gonna go fuck this bowling perv.
Yeah, they push the envelope. It's like, oh man,
they really make you believe
this marriage
it.
is truly crumbling. Yeah.
The next episode also a hot one as far as marriages on the rocks go. We got two of these in a row.
Yeah, Homer's night out.
This time it is Homer's turn to be making the mistakes in the relationship.
Indeed.
We start with Bart is looking through his like the ads in the back of a comic book.
Exactly.
And finds a tiny spy camera, decides he needs that, and he goes to get money out of his piggy bank. And I love that they kept this in there. The piggy bank is broken to shit but glued and taped up because Homer broke it open a few episodes ago.
Yeah, to go to counseling. Yeah.
And then Bart also just breaks the piggy bank. You can open piggy banks without breaking them.
I did enjoy the purchasing something out of the back of the comic book. Were you old enough to remember doing that?
I remember it. I never did. The earliest days of my mail order purchasing would have been like the Columbia CD warehouse.
Oh God! Yeah,
and there was an NES video game catalog that I got that would come, I think, every month, that you could order video games out of, and I would occasionally partake in that.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just old enough. I got in on it. Like I wasn't Columbia House. I was BMG, Ride or Die.
Oh, we were Bloods and Crips then.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad we were able to mend those fences and put a podcast together. But I once ordered, I was like, I don't know. I'm not smart now. I'm sure when I was 7, I was a total dipshit. I once ordered, the picture showed like a 7-foot tall Venus flytrap that was like menacing a neighborhood. I was like, holy shit.
Like the Little House of Horrors plant.
Yeah. Like, and
Little
then I
Shop of
ordered it.
Horrors.
Like, every dime and nickel I could scrape together, I mailed to them in an envelope, and 6 months later, because everything took forever back then, I got a tiny envelope of Venus flytrap seeds.
Oh man!
You should have seen the instructions on how to care for this. It's like, I am not old enough to feed myself. I can't grow exotic plants. You goddamn crooks! And you would think I would learn, but again, dumber than shit. Like 6 months later, out of the back of a Boys Life magazine. Again, Boys Life, Boy Scouts. They should have nurturing, like high quality advertisements, but nope, complete charlatans. Some jerk stole $6 from me because he was selling what looked like a hovercraft. It showed a kid on a hovercraft, like waving and flying through the air. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't get burnt twice. This is it. And I wait again forever to get my hovercraft mail. What do I get, Marlin? I get schematics on how to build a hovercraft. not a screw, not a washer.
Just paper.
Just the just the printouts of how to build my own hovercraft.
Holy
Again,
shit.
if I had the means to build a hovercraft, I wouldn't be ordering one out of the back of fucking Boys Life. I wasn't old enough to purchase them new, but I had a few older comics growing up that were from like the late 60s, back when you could still buy a live monkey out of the back of a comic book. No doubt, dude, there are Reddit pages dedicated to people writing in with their stories about being a family that got a live monkey in the mail.
And actually getting a monkey.
I mean, a lot of them are like, oh, we got a dead monkey in the mail, but a lot of them got monkeys. Yeah. They got monkeys that were very hungry and very angry. Every story involved someone's dad trying to fish a monkey out of the rafters in the garage and getting severely bitten by it.
Holy shit.
No,
this is a whole corner of American culture that I didn't even know existed.
It's a fascinating read. Just like these normal Midwest 1971 family, life getting turned upside down by getting a feral monkey wreaking havoc in their house.
Hey, Bob, you got big plans for the weekend? Well, I got rabies now, Dave. So, no, I'm going to just avoid the sun for a few days.
And so many of these stories, and Dad was able to shoo it out the back door, and we never saw it again.
Just living in the wild somewhere.
Just living out in the woods somewhere.
I love the idea of young Nathan Folsabach, Botno, North Dakota, just getting a pack of seeds for exotic carnivorous plants, not knowing what the fuck he's supposed to do with that. Because when you're a child, that's a pretty big disconnect. Seeing picture a Venus flytrap and receiving seeds. That's a pretty wide gap to cover.
I have a hunch that a Venus flytrap requires a longer growing season than the one available in the upper Midwest.
Yeah, North Dakota, not a long growing season.
Yeah, 9 days of summer. I think they need a little more than that.
North Dakota's growing season lasts as long as bananas stay yellow on your counter.
You can have a hangover outlast it.
Oh, I drank too much and missed the entire gestation period of any God-made plant.
Yeah.
So Bart orders the spy camera, gets 6 months later a functioning tiny camera. So he was ordering out of the right magazines, apparently.
And immediately starts doing Bart shit, which is just raise general havoc, taking pictures of things he should not take pictures of.
What you would expect Bart to take pictures of, like his dad in his underwear and his own ass. So you know that's going to be that's a Chekhov's gun. We're going to see that throughout the episode.
Tell you right now, I am not entirely comfortable with how much Bart nudity we get in season 1. We get a lot of it. Hey man, I know times have changed. It used to be considered, cheeky and fun. It's like, man, put some clothes on that kid.
This was the era of the troll doll, so we were used to cartoon asses at this point.
That is very true. Yeah, we were conditioned by troll dolls. Hey, Mom, do I have to put pants on for church, or can I just Donald Duck it? Hey, whatever. You do you, little fella. And how does it work? Why are they... It's like... Marge and the family are eating at the nautically themed restaurant. Oh, Homer is at a stag party. Is that what leads to it?
Yes, which is taking place at the same restaurant.
The same.
I have that note written here. Who has their bachelor party at a family pirate themed restaurant? So the family is there, and then Homer is there separately at a coworker's bachelor party. This coworker Eugene, an absolute fucking wet blanket.
Yeah, exactly.
Just zero fun.
When they set the groom to be down and the stripper comes out, his father consoles him, and they're just crestfallen. It's just like one of the relatives that just died.
Right? He's got his dad puts his hands on his shoulders. By the way, his dad looks younger than he does,
or if at the most the same age.
Puts his hands on his shoulders as if they just lost an aunt.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, let this lady grind her bottom into you for 4 minutes. It'll all be over. Just be a team player.
Yep, I was blown away by how little fun he was. Everyone else, on the other hand, Homer's coworkers and himself, all just shithoused.
Yeah, having a good time.
Really loving it, making the most out of life. Not Eugene.
Yeah.
And then, yes, as you mentioned, stripper shows up, and Eugene isn't into it, but Homer is, so he's dancing on a table with the stripper. And putting some bills in some strings, and then Bart is walking by, notices, and the spy camera comes into good use as he gets an action shot of his old man with this belly dancer.
And Bart immediately realizes, ooh, this is a real hot tamale.
Yep.
And he brings it to he gets to meet the dorks in the photography club because he needs to use their black room.
Yeah, one of whom is fucking Martin. Martin coming back again.
Punk ass bitch Martin is back.
And is seemingly the leader of the photography club, which totally fucking checks out.
Yeah. Martin is proof that, like, just because you're bullied doesn't mean you're a good kid. Like, once he gets a taste of power with the photography kids, he's a complete asshole.
Martin sucks. I am anti-Martin and will be for the extent of this show, I'd imagine. Bart prints the photo, and then the way these things go, living in the era of nudes on your cell phone, the way these things go, you give it to one person, that person gives it to another person, making copies. Suddenly the whole town has this fucking photo.
All of a sudden, you are a smut peddler in the third grade because there are dozens, if not hundreds. And I can imagine that would be a pretty hot commodity in a third grade playground in 1989.
Yeah, you are probably a pretty cool kid if you're...
Do you recall... Was there any smut traded in your grade school? Do you recall anything like that?
No.
I got it.
And we never had the classic story of finding a magazine under a bridge or out in the woods. I don't have that. We don't have woods where I come from. It is rolling prairie. It is just fucking Dances with Wolves out there, not a tree in sight.
Yeah, so I did luck out that way. We were a big enough town where we had the bike trails, which was just this labyrinth of bike trails around the creek. There's always kids on bikes near a creek. They're up to something bad. Okay. And it was just a place, like, just the whole area was just for any kind of level of juvenile delinquency. It could be achieved down there. Like I remember one summer, these two older kids just spent the whole summer cutting a big tree down with a meat cleaver. Like you'd ride your bikes past, and the meat cleaver would be in the tree just a little bit. And they were like the bullies, so you knew not to fuck with the meat cleaver.
Just a little deeper than it was yesterday.
Yeah. And like 3 days before school started, by God, they got that tree to fall down. Hacking away at that meat cleaver.
How fucking bored kids must have been.
Oh my God, that's late 80s, early 90s rural North Dakota there.
I mean, we weren't cutting down trees, but we were the same fucking way. You're just bored.
Yeah. When it comes to sharing smut, when I was, it was the third grade, a girl named Geraldine brought an Adam and Eve catalog to school. Oh. And when you are 9 years old, you don't know what any of it means, but there's cartoon penises in it, and that is pretty highbrow stuff. So, and it was all fun and games to this one weirdo kid. Like, you know those families that's like, why aren't you homeschooled? You guys are all weird. You're obviously some weird strain of Lutheranism. You're not fitting in with the rest of us. we get back from lunch and everyone's cool, and then he raises his hand and just hollers out proudly, Mrs. Robertson, they got a catalog with Peters in it.
Oh my God. You had a Martin. You had your own Martin.
Yep. We need to bring back Peters.
Yeah. Add it to Boss. Boss is also on the list of shit we're bringing back. Hey?
Yeah,
man.
These Boss bicycle shorts make my Peter look good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the coolest sentence of 2020. So this photo of Homer dancing with the belly dancer gets all over town. Everyone has a copy There's even a copy hanging in the Quickie Mart where Homer goes to buy a donut. And I did like this line because they acknowledge the similarities and acknowledge that, hey, every adult cartoon is going to kind of follow this script. Apu asks, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" And Homer says, "Sorry, buddy, you got me confused with Fred Flintstone."
Yeah,
which I really liked. Yeah, like acknowledge. Yep, this is just new Fred Flintstone.
And I believe it's at the end of that scene as everyone's leaving. I don't know how it gets brought up, but Apu's response in a very grave voice is, "I've seen things you cannot imagine."
Which probably true. Like, ask any like
running a convenience store.
Yeah, in that fucking town, in any town. Hell, like I'm in Fargo, and I bet convenience store workers have stories for sure.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I never worked in a convenience store.
Nor have I.
I consider myself fortunate.
I've had a plethora of trash jobs, but I've never been at a convenience store employee.
Never behind the pump. Everyone is like kind of Homer's kind of the butt of the joke of the whole town, and this eventually, as you expected it to, gets back to Marge, who's fucking furious.
She is not impressed
about
by his
Homer dancing with a stripper.
Swinger reputation.
Yep. And I have written down here, what a very different time this must have been in regards to strippers. Now,
yeah, absolutely.
A little about me, I have a bit of a different view on strippers and sex workers. I was a strip club DJ for 6 years. So it's no big deal to me. Like, to me, a strip club is just a bar. But there's also, rather than a TV with the football game, there's a stage with a stripper on it.
A naked person doing naked people things.
Right, like you do. And it's not a big deal. But the people of Springfield, Marge in particular, it is apparently a very big deal.
During your time in the employ of a strip club, did you guys ever have like a mud wrestling or like a pudding wrestling night, or was that ever a thing, or were you guys just a strip club?
It was never a thing where I worked. I know there have definitely been ones in this town, but not there at the gentleman's club I worked at. So
that is a premise that baffles me. It's like, why? Like, have you ever seen an attractive woman? Like, you know what would make this better? If she was writhing in pain in a wading pool full of like lemon meringue pie filling, and another woman had her in a half Nelson. Like, I don't get it.
You see that real attractive little brunette over there? I would really like it if she was like unhappy with what was going on.
Yeah. I wish someone would put her in a Boston crab in a bathtub full of tapioca pudding. that really do it for me.
If we could make her muddy and just hating it, that would be awesome.
And like slightly winded.
I've never understood that. The closest we've come was when I worked there anyway, was like wet t-shirt contests and the occasional, like, you shell out the big bucks and get a big time porn star to come in. Like, those were really the only out of the ordinary things that we ever did there. But yeah, the mud wrestling, thank God, because I bet being an employee of the strip club,
oh my God,
I bet you hate when it's mud wrestling time.
The cleanup alone.
Yeah. But Marge is pissed, throws Homer out, throws his clothes out, just legit fuming mad. We're forgetting that she almost fucked her bowling teacher in the very last episode.
Perhaps only hours before this.
Right, as far as we know, this is the next day.
This is 36 hours later.
And so Homer does some down on his luck shit, crashes at Barney's place. We see him drink,
which is great.
Yeah, it's a real good pad. Yeah,
he's struggling.
You can barely see the floor with all the shit that's all over it.
He's not a man of worldly gifts.
No, or exquisite tastes, because he seems pretty happy with his circumstances.
He's really embraced a Thoreau lifestyle.
Yeah, he's living for him and for nobody else, which I commend him for. So Homer has to crash there for the night and then goes back home either the following day or the day after. It's not made explicitly clear, and tries to patch things up with Marge. And Marge reveals that her anger stems from the bad example that Homer is setting for Bart, and she wants Homer to show Bart that sex workers are like real people, which is a more progressive thing in 1989 than I expected.
My word, yeah.
I was taken aback because I was like, I thought she was pissed this whole time because people look down on strippers and how dare Homer. But no, she's pissed about this, which I was like, oh, fucking hey, Simpsons, good work. It's a very 2020 mindset for a 1980s cartoon. So Homer decides to take Bart and introduce him to the stripper in the photo, and has a bit of trouble finding her and keeps hopping around to all these different establishments. And I have written down here, how many fucking sleaze huts are in this town?
No kidding.
It's like he goes to one strip club and they tell him, try this one. And he goes to that one and they say, nope, try this one. And that goes on for like 6 different establishments.
Until he finally finds her in some kind of review where she's raised above the crowd in like a bird cage, apparently.
Yeah, more of a go-go dancer thing, but also set to like there's a not a conga line, but what's the
like a chorus line.
There you go.
And as a callback to Robert Goulet, a Robert Goulet type Vegas performer is the one singing. It's all sexy ladies and this dude, and there's Homer. Somehow dangling from the birdcage because he's Homer. He's always getting into goofs.
Getting into hijinks. And I have written down, it just says, what the fuck is this song? I don't know how closely you were listening to the song, but the lyrics are something along the lines of like, I'll be with any woman, even an Asian one or an Eskimo. Yep. And I'm like, what the hell am I watching?
The racial overtones were alarming.
Yikes. I was legit taken aback. Like, I don't know where this came from, but oh boy.
Once Homer eventually does fall, because can't have an episode in season 1 without at least one good pratfall, and right away everyone's furious because the show is ruined because a obese man just fell 30 feet into the middle of a stage production. And the best is though, once the lounge singer figures out who he is, he like helps him and like it's like Homer Simpson, party guy, and then like he embraces him. It's like, God, I wish that was me sometime in my life.
you entered a space and someone was like, there's Nathan Fulsebach, party guy, and then everyone
Wayne
enjoyed
Newton
themselves.
Looks in my eye, a tender embrace. You're right, I do like to party.
I mean, we know it, but we don't celebrate it like we should.
Yeah, finally getting recognized.
Homer gives does a dance and then gives a heartfelt speech, and Marge is there. I don't know why. Gives a speech, and we have our wholesome moment, and she takes him back, and that's the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm. Again, one big happy family.
Yep, we come right back to it as expected. All in all, I think I mentioned this at the top, thought this was a significantly better batch of 5 than the first 5.
Yep, my goodness, yeah.
Like that RV episode, not good as a whole, but at least we got that RV salesman. Mm-hmm. I hope we see more of him down the road.
Hope this continues more onward, more upward. So next episode, we'll be diving into season 2.
Yes, we will cross the line from season 1 to 2 in the next episode. We will do 11 through 15, and 14 is the first episode of season 2. So we'll get and I think that'll be fun to discuss because I'm curious if there's a leap in quality or anything like that in between 1 and 2.
Exactly, like what the difference between 13 and 14 is going to be.
Yeah, see if there's a a noticeable like improvement in animation, or if it's like, oh, we clearly have new writers. I don't know, but we will see.
And so will you, dear listener. You will see too.
Yes, watch along with us to this this obscure little show called The Simpsons. So that'll be next week's homework, 11 through 15. And as we mentioned last week, you can find us on Twitter at BarleyBasketUSA. You can email us at barleybasketUSA@gmail.com. And we will see you next week.
Goodbye, everybody.